Hey everyone, what's up? It is I, Talia Flores, with another video. And for those of you that are brand new, welcome to my channel. My name's Talia Flores. I am a 25-year-old disability activist born with spastic dysplasia. I'm also a published author and radio show host personality. And for today's video, I'm going to be talking about the issue with inspirational porn within the disability community, because we tend to see that a lot as disability activists and as people with disabilities all together. And basically, what disability porn is, it's basically someone putting a new story together to portray us to have like a miserable life, and they just want people to feel bad for us when it comes to inspirational porn. And that's why we call it inspirational porn, because it portrays us as, oh, look at the disabled person, somebody did something nice for this disabled person, so we have to make a new story about it. And the main reason why this topic comes to mind is because last night I was strolling through Facebook, and admittedly, I always do this, you guys. Like, I think it's a millennial thing. Like, I always stroll through Facebook before bed. Yeah, admittedly. Like, if I have press or if I have to answer my Facebook Messenger, that's what I do. I scroll through Facebook. And I came across a woman who shared the story of her able-bodied 17-year-old son asking his 17-year-old friend, who happened to have cerebral palsy, to prom, and she was nonverbal, and she was giving him a lot of praise. And one of my Facebook friends said, Tylea, this is a sweet story, but do you consider this to be inspirational porn? And I said, yes, all the way. Because it's not that the young man asked the girl to prom. It's not that. That happens every day. It's the fact that they made it seem like, oh, she has a disability, so he felt obligated to ask her to prom, and it became this whole media thing. And I honestly wish the media would stop doing that. Like, if you want to get somebody with a disability story, just get the story, but don't make a petty party out of it. For example, that's like when I was 16, I had my Sweet 16 with the Florida Marlins because I was a tomboy. I was a baseball fan. I didn't want a Cinderella themed Sweet 16. In fact, I didn't want a Sweet 16 at all, and my parents had to surprise me with them because it didn't matter to me. Like, I was not about that life. Okay, I just wasn't. But I'm grateful that my parents went above and beyond to give me a Sweet 16. Like, they're awesome people. But anyway, they did this surprise Make-A-Wish thing, and the news people were there, and I was all excited to meet my favorite player, John Buck. But when we got the footage back and it was already out in the media, and I think you guys could still find this video to this day. I think it's in the MBL's like archives, but you gotta dig all the way far because it was like 8 years ago. That makes me feel old as hell. But it was like 8 years ago, and in the beginning of the video, the announcer's like, and Tylea, 16 years old, has an extreme form of body palsy, which causes her to be in a wheelchair. So of course, people watching that will be like, oh my god, this poor kid has an extreme form of a disease, and so it made sense that they gave her a Sweet 16 because she must live a difficult life. And at that time, I didn't live a difficult life. I was an ordinary kid surfing the web on MySpace when MySpace was still around, changing the layout, going on the n.com, for those of you that are familiar with my story, how much that site means to me and still means to me, even though it no longer exists. It was a big chunk of of my story and my struggle and how I became accepting of my cerebral palsy and the woman that I am today. But yeah, I was like just a typical teenager that loved watching Teen Degrassi, Drake, and Josh. Yeah, I was a typical teenager, so there was nothing wrong with me. But when it came to people watching this news story, it made it seem like I lived a difficult life, and I feel like that's the biggest problem with inspirational porn is that it portrays disabled people to be miserable people who don't live their lives to the best of their ability and constantly have the struggle. Yes, we have obstacles and challenges, but that doesn't mean that we can't live our lives, and that doesn't mean that we want people to feel sorry for us. So, with that being said, how can inspirational porn be something fixable? And when I say fixable, how could there be less of it? Well, more awareness about disability is the right way, and this falls into the media portraying people with disabilities the way we want to be portrayed, not by the way you want to tell the story. Ask us the questions, dig deep into us, and really pay attention to what we go through. Number two, awareness about disabilities and what it may mean to have it. And number three, speaking out on it. If you see inspirational porn and ableism within the media, speak out about it and say this is wrong. This is not how a person with this type of disability is portrayed. I just did an interview with a well-known YouTuber discussing this, and I just felt like it falls right into today's topic of today's video, inspirational porn. What's wrong with it? A whole lot, because it continues the stigmas that we are trying to debunk to this day. And if anything, it takes away from what we fought for during the times of like the ADA and the 504. It just takes us back to 1920, 1930, 1950, 1960, and 1970s, all the way up to the 80s before the ADA was passed. And when it comes to inspirational porn, this is something that we have to fight against every day. Yes, I want to be somebody's inspiration, but not because I have a disability and I learn to adapt to it. It would have to be because of the person that I am individually outside of my disability. And that's what I always tell people. I am not your inspiration because you see me wheeling my wheelchair down the street, or you see me out and about and I'm just living my life despite my disability. Let me tell you my story on how I overcame things, and then you could consider me an inspiration, because you may be seeing somebody in a wheelchair, right? And you may call them an inspiration, but they may have a negative outlook on life. So, with that being said, you guys, there's my thoughts on inspirational porn and the problem with it being a part of the disability community. And with that being said, this is Tylia Flores, over and out.